What's going on, guys? A RidGaming teacher in the house, and we are back. We are out of our draft league retirement. We have joined the RGBL somewhat late in the season. I was asked by a couple of good people if I would fill a spot in the league. This is a singles league with no terrestrialization and points format, which is something I haven't played a lot of, I have to be honest. I've been mostly playing VGC. But I do want to thank RidGaming and Drek900. Thank you for the invite to the league. I greatly appreciate it. We have taken over the team from someone who has dropped out as they have been absent. So I've replaced them. There's 3 weeks left of the regular season. So we gotta make a bit of a stamp here if we want to continue our playoff run in our draft league history. I haven't actually missed playoffs in any league I've played in the last 4 years. So we've got our work cut out if we're going to continue that run. We've got some tough teams, but if you're excited for RGBL and if you're excited for draft league content to come back, make sure to show support by leaving a like down below and subscribe if you are new. I would greatly appreciate it. But without any further ado, let's have a look at the team we've got. I'll go through all the returning Pokemon that were on the team already, and then we'll go through the adjustments that I made to the team. But 3, 2, 1, boom! Here we go. Here is our team. Here is what we've got. Also, if I sound a little bit nasally, guys, I do apologize. I'm actually ill at the moment when I'm recording this video, but I gotta get this out for you guys. So here we are. Right. So let's start with the mons that were already on the team. So first thing I saw when I took on this team was that Urshifu Rapid Strike. This thing is extremely powerful, thanks to Unseen Fist. Protect doesn't matter against it. Surgeon Strikes, of course, is extremely powerful. That's pretty solid physical bulk and a decent speed tier as well, which means that I can do a ton of work with this thing. It gets a great amount of coverage moves. It also got a really strong buff this generation with access to Sword Stance, which it didn't have before. So that's going to be pretty exciting. I think there's definitely some pretty fun sets. I can run with a Shifu, so I'm very happy to see it. The next thing that was on the team that caught my attention was Landorus Therian. We all know Lando T very well. It's a very, very staple mon in singles competitive. Did lose access to Defog, did lose access to Toxic, so it has a lot of its utility stripped away from it. But it did get some very interesting buffs and access to Nasty Plot, which now means the special sets can be incredibly viable as well as a new move called Sanseer Storm, which is a ground-type special attack that has the chance of burning your opponent, which is pretty interesting. Could be pretty strong. Lando's got a decent attack stat as well as a good special attack stat, so it could be pretty versatile, has a lot going for it. The other thing that was still on the team was that Gengar. Gengar is quite speedy. It's a grounded poison type as well, which my team doesn't do well with Toxic Spikes outside of that. So having a grounded poison is pretty nice. It does hit pretty hard into quite a few things into the format as well, particularly if you're running Spikes. But it can get outspared by some important things, but we will worry about that if we have to play against them. And the last thing that was already on the team is Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl is a Pokemon I'm very familiar with. I've used Grimmsnarl a lot since its release back in Sword and Shield. It definitely became one of my favorite fairies outside of Rabombi. But Grimmsnarl gets access to Prankster, gets Screens, gets Taunt, gets Thunder Wave, gets Scary Face. It got a nice buff this generation with gaining access to Parting Shot, which can be very, very good for pivoting. Obviously, it has that very nasty Spirit Break, which can cripple special attackers, as well as do solid damage off that 120 base attack. It's pretty powerful. It could do a lot of work. I could even use this thing offensively if I wanted to, but it'll most likely be a utility mon. Those were all of the mons that were on the team. We will talk about the adjustments that I made next. So, right at the very top, we have Wo-Chien. This was originally Mousehold. I was unsold on whether I wanted Mousehold or not. Obviously, Pop Bomb is extremely powerful. It's the most powerful normal type move in the game. However, it's got a fundamental problem, is in draft, it is very easy to prepare for it. You just bring a physically bulky mon with a rocky helmet and watch Mousehold kill itself, which is not really what I want to deal with. Mousehold is better in doubles, to be honest. So opting for Wo-Chien. Pretty solid bulky mon. Gets access to things like Ruination, gets Strength Sap, gets Leech Seed. Gets some pretty nasty stuff. Its ability, of course, Tablets of Ruin, cripples the attack stat, which is not bad into physically offensive teams. Obviously, we do also have the double Intimidate as well, with Lando T and Weird Ear. But yeah, Wordra, generally a very good bulky pivot mon, so something I definitely hope I can get good value out of. I've never actually used it, so this is the first time I am using it, but hopefully I can get good value out of it. Lucario was in. This was originally Magnezone. I wanted Lucario a lot because even though it's not the quickest thing in the world, it is versatile, can be physical, can be special, gets access to moves really powerful on both sides. So could be a solid breaker, could be a good late game cleaner as well. So we have good options with Lucario. I think it fits pretty nicely on this team, particularly with the support of screens from Grimmsnarl and the extra utility that the double Intimidate and other moves bring for the team. So Lucario definitely fits this team quite well. It's pretty good offensively. I wanted to bring more of an offensive look to the team because the original team that I had to work with was pretty bulky. But didn't seem to have a lot of damage output outside of Urshifu and Lando T, so I wanted to make sure I had extra damage. Next up is Volcarona. This was actually originally an Amorous T. I'm not a huge fan of an Amorous T in singles. In doubles, it's actually really powerful, but in singles, it's way weaker than the other Enamorous, so for 14 points, I wanted to pick up a better fire type, so grabbed Volcarona. Volcarona is one of my favorite Pokemon in the game, so definitely not a surprise that I drafted it. With access to heavy-duty boots, I don't really care about Stealth Rock, which is pretty nice. With a single Quiver Dance, I can murk teams. Volcarona eats a lot of teams alive, so I'm definitely excited to see if I can make it work in the current format. Hopefully we can get some good dubs with Volcarona as a good cleanup. Next up is Weird Ear. This spot was originally Colossal. Colossal has too many problems in singles format, especially with no Terrestrialization or Dynamax. Colossal is suddenly not that great anyway. In singles, it's never really been particularly good. In doubles, it's actually surprisingly viable. But Weird Ear is a pretty interesting mod. It's actually got surprisingly good stats. It's relatively bulky, gets access to Intimidate, its signature move Sideshow Bash is pretty nice for crippling defense stats. Which allows me to take down physical walls so long as they're not a dark type. Generally doesn't do much other than that, but it can hit pretty hard. Could also be a Trick Room setter if I really want to go that route. But my team doesn't necessarily thrive on a Trick Room outside of Avalugg. So yeah, not bad. Hisuian Electrode's next. This was originally a Loma Mola. Hisuian Electrode is hella fast at 150 base speed. It has pretty decent speed tier to work with. It outspeeds just about everything in the format, bar Regieleki. So it has some decent options. Doesn't have the best offensive stats. In fact, it doesn't have that much great stats except for speed. Does have access to Aftermath, which is a pretty nice ability, especially if I get killed by a physical move. I can just yoink 25% off of my opponent, which is pretty nice. But yeah, mainly access to screens, particularly light screen. It doesn't actually get Reflect. The regular Electrode gets Reflect. But does get things like Thunder Wave. It can be pretty annoying. Discharges as well, spam paralysis. Obviously, Chloroblast is pretty darn powerful. It is essentially Grass-type Steel Beam. So that may come into play once or twice, as we shall see. And last but by no means least is Hisuian Avalugg. I didn't really have any hazard removal on the team because most of the standard removal on this team actually did get defog removed from it. So I'm getting a bulky spinner. Definitely didn't seem like a bad alternative. Avalugg Hisui has insane physical defense stats, so I'm hoping I can make it work. But we shall see. But yep, that is the team. That is what we are rocking out with. If my first opponent is a Sun team with Walk and Wake, so yeah, wish me luck for that. I'm gonna need it. He hasn't actually won a game all season, so definitely gonna be tough. But we do need to win if we want a chance of making playoffs. So yeah, that match will be happening, I believe, Sunday of the week that this is going up. So yeah, make sure to show support for your Royal Bomber for Bombies. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Rabombi Teacher. I'm your coach of the Royal Bomber for Bombies. Stay safe, stay awesome, and I'll catch you guys next time. Take care.